Hello everybody, how are you today? This is Joe Palmetto with Libertarian Front. I'm driving home from a day at the office. As many of you may know, I am an attorney. I'm a trial attorney. I do criminal defense, and I have done several criminal defense jury trials, and I wanted to give you some insight into the Donald Trump trial in New York right now. So if you like my content, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. It's a free way to support my show. I'm really trying to get more viewers, get more listing, pump up the algorithm on Google, so I would appreciate it if you could do so. So let's talk about jury deliberations. As anyone who's been following the Donald Trump trial knows, we are now in day 2 of jury deliberations. So the jury started deliberating yesterday, and the deliberations are continuing today. So I have a couple of insights. So juries, whenever they're deliberating, which means sitting together, talking over the facts, trying to come to a unanimous decision, because in criminal trials in the United States, it has to be a unanimous decision. That is not true in civil trials, but in criminal trials it is. In order to convict or acquit someone, the decision must be unanimous. So that means all 12 jurors have to get on the same page. And there is, as you can imagine, a lot of argument, a lot of disagreement, but there's also a lot of persuasion going on in those rooms in order to get the jurors to, in order to get one person to agree with the other, et cetera, et cetera. So a couple of facts, or I don't say facts, a couple of principles that I'd like you to be aware of that lawyers think about and based on experience in these situations. Number one, generally the longer a jury takes, it is believed that the verdict is more likely to go in favor of the defense. So the longer the deliberations, the longer the jury takes, the more favorable it is for the defense. Now, of course, that's not always true. You could have a jury deliberate for 3 days and come back with a guilty decision. However, most attorneys will tell you the longer it's going on, the more likely you get a not guilty jury or a hung jury. And I've seen this in my own practice. A couple of times I've had juries deliberate for a short period of time, and it came back not favorable to my client. I can tell you that is much less often than the other scenario where I've gotten very good results and the juries have taken a long time. Now I've had at least recently. Well, I don't say recently, but I've had two hung juries. And one of my hung juries was a case where the jury deliberated for, like, we had finished on a Wednesday. The entire afternoon the jury deliberated. The whole next day they deliberated. And then they came back again, and the judge decided that the case was hung. Now, what a hung jury is again, it has to be unanimous. So if one or more jurors refuses to go with the unanimous part of the jury, and it could be that 11 jurors want the verdict to be guilty, 11 jurors want it to be not guilty. As long as there's one holdout or more, there can be more, but as long as you have at least one, that would be a hung jury. And the judge will only declare the jury hung after significant deliberation. So what does that mean? That means the jury may send a message to the judge. So when the jurors are deliberating, they can send questions and they can send messages. It's almost like some sort of weird, sneaky prison type thing, right? Like they're trapped in this room and they're sending these messages and these questions to the judge, and they can't leave until the judge says so. But they also can't come in and just ask a question to the judge's face. And what happens is when they ask a question or make a request, the judge will bring the lawyers in for all parties, and we'll say to the lawyer, and we'll read the question aloud. So in my experience, most of the time, judge would call me and the opposing attorney as a prosecutor, because I do defense, into the room, And he would have the question, it's generally written on a piece of paper, and the court staff is the courier in between. And the judge would come in and say, and read the question for the first time in front of the lawyers. And then he'll talk to the lawyers and say, what do we do about this? Okay. And the jurors can have all kinds of questions. And when we hear questions as lawyers, and even as the judge, we're always trying to read the tea leaves. What do they mean? What do they don't mean? So in this case, so far, my understanding, the jury has asked for portions of testimony to be reread, and that was done. And also they asked for the jury instructions to be reread to them. So that means, it could mean a lot of different things, but likely the jurors are sitting in there and they have a disagreement about exactly what the instruction said. Additionally, the jurors are in there and they had a disagreement about what the testimony was. So they want to get on the same page as far as what the facts are or what the law is. So in my opinion, I'm not going to read too much into the tea leaves of those instructions. Okay, I don't think those instructions, they don't tell me that the jury is leading defense one way or in favor of the prosecution another way. Now, an example of a question that the jury might have that would give you tea leaves, okay, or give you some predictive value, is if they come back and they ask for interpretation of the law. So one time I had a jury with a client who was charged with multiple offenses, and some of the offenses were very serious, some of them still serious but not as serious, and then some lower rung charges as well. And the jury asked a question about the meaning of intent. And intent is often very times relevant in criminal proceedings. The meaning of intent for the top charge. Okay, and that worried me, and I was right to be worried about it, because what that told me is they had probably already made a decision on the other charges, and they were still considering the most serious charge. Now, what the judge did was he said, this is commonly an answer because juries are meant to interpret the language, at least to some degree, on their own. So he said, there's a definition for intent in the instructions. He said, you have to decide exactly what that means, and sent that back to the jury. And then in that particular case, what the jury did was came back, found my client not guilty of that most serious charge, so it was a small victory, but guilty of all of the lesser charges. So in that way, the question can give you some information about how the jury may be thinking. But with that said, it really depends on the content of the question itself. I don't think either of these instructions, it does tell you, because I believe they wanted some testimony reread that came from Michael Cohen, and also some testimony that came from Trump's one witness. I can't remember his name. So it does tell you that maybe they're focusing on those two witnesses as very important parts of their decision. But that's not enough for me to say it's going to go one way or another. Here's the other thing. I don't want to say, okay, the jury's already gone a day and a half, so maybe it's favoring the defense. But you have to think about the length of the trial as well. This was a 2-week trial. Many trials are just 2 or 3 days, 2 or 4 days. 2-week trials, while they're common, they're not the norm. So I would expect the jury to take some time in looking into the case. Keep in mind there are 2 lawyers on this jury, so they're going to take everything very seriously, and they're going to do some serious analysis. They're going to want to know all the details, all the important facts, and all the important statements of law. So, looking at it as a whole, it's hard for me to say which way the jury's going, but let me say this. Tomorrow is a Friday, and most judges will start to put the screws on juries on Friday. They want that decision to come before the weekend. They don't want to have to bring the jury back on Monday. Let me tell you something else. Jurors don't want to come back on Monday. Now, I had a jury once. We finished on a Friday at like 2 or 3 o'clock, and the judge basically told them, I can't remember exactly, but he was like, you're staying till 6 o'clock tonight. And I think he was even considering bringing them in for the weekend. But he put a lot of pressure on them to get done, you know, as early as possible on a Friday. And they did. They only deliberated for 2 hours. So the fact that there's a Friday, you know, we're coming up on a Friday. My prediction is that the verdict comes back late tomorrow afternoon. Now, if it goes beyond Friday, I would say that at that point, I believe the defense is in a much more favorable position, and that there's a decent chance that there's a hung jury or even an acquittal. Right now, I'm having trouble reading the tea leaves. I would say, though, with the questions and a bit of a delay, you know, this wasn't a black and white open and shut case. And again, if verdicts come back in 1 hour, it generally tends to go in favor of the prosecution. So I would say right now there's a slight advantage to the defense because of the length of time of deliberation and the fact that there's been a few questions. But I'm only, if we were at 50-50, just reading the tea leaves, you know, I maybe give it 53, 54, 55%, still 45% chance of it going the other way. And my prediction could change when more instructions come. So I hope you found this video interesting. It's based on my experience. I've done over 10 jury trials in my career as a lawyer. I've been practicing lawyer for 10 years. Done many, many non-jury trials. And I hope you found this interesting and informative. We'll see what happens with the Donald Trump trial, and I will give some comments afterwards, mostly on process and procedure rather than, you know, the politics of it itself. But we'll see. We'll see how the verdict comes out, and I'll let you, you know, I got to see how I'm feeling at that time and what I want to comment on. All right, everybody, thanks for your time. Bye-bye. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Please, please, please. Free way to support me, free way to support the show. I'll make more content, get more views, get more likes, and YouTube will reward me. Totally free. Have a great day. Joe Palmetto signing off.